Good evening. I call to order this meeting of the Gladstone City Council for Tuesday, July 9th, 2024. It's 6:30 p.m. The City of Gladstone is abiding by guidelines set forth in House Bill 2560, which requires the governing body of the public body, to the extent reasonably possible, to make all meetings accessible remotely through technological means and provide opportunity for members of the general public to remotely submit oral and written testimony during meetings to the extent in-person oral and written testimony is allowed. Therefore, this meeting will be open to the public both in person and virtually using the Zoom platform, the instructions for which are on the agenda of the meeting. If members of the public would like to comment on an agenda item, either virtually or in person, they were to have emailed their comments to the city recorder prior to noon today. Individuals attending in person may also submit a speaker card to the city recorder at the beginning of the meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. We'll also have Gladstone City event announcements during the first part of the meeting and business from the audience at the end of the meeting. To speak during either time, again, you are to have emailed your request or filled out a speaker card. Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Huckabee.
Present.
Counselor Alexander.
Yes.
Counselor Blau.
Present.
Counselor Cook.
Present.
Counselor Roberts.
Present.
Counselor Garlington.
Present.
Mayor Milch.
Present. Please stand for the flag salute. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Administrator Betts, do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda?
I have nothing, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, well, we begin with the first part of the agenda, including our consent agenda that includes the approval of the June 11th, 2024 regular minutes, approval of both the April and May bank balances, the budget report for the period ending May 31st, 2024, approval of the May check register, legal costs for May 2024, and department head monthly reports for June 2024. I always commend those monthly reports. They're very informative and very helpful. Does anybody on the council want to pull anything from the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve it as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it was moved by Councilor Huckabee, seconded by Councilor Alexander. Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Garlington.
Yes.
Counselor Roberts.
Yes.
Counselor Cook.
Yes.
Counselor Blau.
Yes.
Counselor Alexander.
Yes.
Counselor Huckabee.
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes, the consent agenda is approved. Administrator Betts, is there any correspondence for us to deal with?
I have nothing.
Okay, we'll move on to item 7 then, which is our regular monthly report from Clackamas Fire District. Thank you. So Chief Brown, welcome.
Awesome.
Thank you for the information.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate the council. Thank you for letting us come and just give you a quick update. And then Division Chief Schneider is going to give just an update on panel cameras. This was brought forward, questions from the council a couple months back to Chief Stewart, and we're bringing in the expert to kind of give you a small little deeper dive into what the panel cameras are and be able to answer any questions. But what you have before you is I just wanted to show you a couple maps. Been a pretty historic month so far for Clackamas Fire. July 1, we opened up Station 13, and that station has not been staffed for since 1999. So 25 years since there was staffing in that fire station. and the staffing level, which we've been able to provide it at 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it's never been staffed at that with the 3-person staffing. So super, super excited. We had an open house, which it really meant a lot to me to have Councilor Roberts there. He brought his sister, had the first hot dog, did the first tour through the station. But the importance for that for me is it shows the family that we all are. We are all here in this together, and I just loved having that representation there. And it just shows the buy-in and the belief in the Clackamas Fire family. And it's just it's an honor to be able to serve you and to be here. I just really appreciated all the buy-in from this council. The map that you see in front of you is just a reflection of where we've been at with our promise to the community as far as the increased staffing year one. And then on the back, the second page map is year two. When we came forward to the taxpayers and to our communities, we promised them that we were going to increase staffing with a wall-to-wall approach. And that year one map reflects that first phase of the increased staffing at the 6 fire stations, opening up the Clark's Fire Station, Station 13, and where and how that affects the area strategically. The analytics that we utilize is a program called Dark Horse, and that's the map that you see right there. So what that affects and that represents is the effective response force based on NFPA 1720. And you can see the different, the green, dark green, light green. It just shows where there's an immediate effect as well as a tertiary effect by the increased staffing. If you look at map 2 or page 2 on that map, that reflects our year 2 plan. So we are going to be implementing a quick response unit, which will be stashed in the town or staged in the town center area, Station 1. And that shows how we are able to, at 6.5 minutes, increase in effective response force in certain areas, and then what it looks like at 8 minutes, what it looks like at 10 minutes, because the expectation with that smaller unit is to be able to expand their response area for low acuity calls, low emergent calls, keeping the heavier assets available for fires and emergency where there's life-saving calls where we need to respond to. And so I just wanted to show the council that we are on track with what we promised our communities and how we are implementing that wall-to-wall approach. And it just gives you the visual on top of the letter that I sent out and that is on the website walking through the year 1 and the year 2 plan. So with that, I would love to turn over some time to Chief Snyder, unless you have any questions for me regarding the map that's in front of you or the year 1, year 2 plan.
Any questions on this information? All right, Chief Schneider, go ahead.
Good. Well, thank you. Good evening. So my name is Phil Snyder. I think I know a few of you. I retired from Sandy Fire. I was there 47 years and chief the last 9 years. Chief Brown, I went over with Clackamas Fire for 6 months, enjoyed that. But, on to Pano. So as Chief Stewart mentioned, I'm not an expert at Pano, but I've been a real believer and a end user since 2022. And super impressive. And so I'll be happy to answer questions. I can kind of tell you how it works and just a little bit about it. And then I made just a little quick presentation that we can talk about some history that you probably know most of it because it's happened in our backyard. But so how this system works is Pano's a private agency, Pano AI, and they have joined with T-Mobile and uses their cameras as a 5G high resolution. Using the C800 towers, most of our towers that are already in place. And so the cameras are high up in the thousands of feet, and they are an AI and they read smoke. So they basically are kind of taking, I kind of relate it to the old smoke detectors in the house, and now we have a detection system for the horizon. And 24/7, 2 cameras that every minute take a still shot of 180 degrees. So you get a 360 pano. And then we have the ability to go back and go into minutes, hours, days. We can go back and watch events happen. The fire starts or whatever, we can go back and see it for either investigation or that type of thing. But it has been very impressive since day one. So on the first page of this one with my picture on it, just showing the Clackamas fire. Again, we have a lot of high danger areas in the East County, a lot of potential. a lot of what they call WUI. It's the interface where, you know, you're getting residents moving closer and closer into the woods. And so again, the human time is everything for us. And so if we found a way, which we did, to detect these fires earlier, that's a great thing. So yeah, the fire district now with Sandy is now at about 300 plus square miles, I believe, for the Clackamas Fire District. So again, a lot of things to watch. On the second page, just going back a little case study and a little bit of history. So I used to go on a lot of fires in my day, but they were always in central and eastern and southern Oregon, you know, and we always kind of just got out of the worry of it. 2014, I think, was kind of the first little bit of wake up over here, that Pit 36 fire. Some of you remember that at Estacada in the 224 drainage. And it was about 5,500 acres and heavy forest, and, you know, shut the highway down for quite a while. And we got through that and we thought, okay, that's kind of one of these anomalies. Then 2017, we had the Eagle Creek fire over in the gorge, which just about came over the hill for us as far as our fire district was. That burnt 50,000 acres and of course had the hikers trapped, and 400 residents were under mandatory evacuation. It just got a little deeper. And then 2020 hit, that we all remember, the Riverside fire and all the complex there. And that ended up being 138,000 acres. And of course, that was a learning experience for everyone. I wish we had the camera systems then, but we didn't. But, you know, that was 139 structures destroyed and 4 injuries. So then moving on, we kind of had a little bit of a lull. And then 2022, the very first day that I had an opportunity to have access to the cameras, you can see down there kind of how it works. So we, this AI system, we don't have to sit there and just watch our cameras unless we want to, but it detects what a real smoke column is. I mean, it's already relinquished what a backyard burn is versus a heavier column of smoke. Steam, it's already figured that all out. So what it does, it detects it. And if it's big enough, it'll detect it with multiple cameras from different angles, which then gives us a lat and longitude that we can drive right to. So it actually goes from there to their main hub, which goes to a human to second look at it. And then they put a page out, and I get it on my phone, my iPad, my everything. But I just get a little ding that says, hey, you know, you need to look at this panel station, and you can look at it. What we've been finding is almost on every fire, I've been getting notified somewhere between 1 and 2 minutes before the 911 calls even come through. So it's fast. It's picking it up and making it happen. So yeah, this was the McIver, if you remember, in 2022. It was, and they did a great job stopping it at 25 acres. But that when I got pinged and I looked at that right where the black is right there, and that's the first thing I saw, you know, it's like, okay, as fire chief then, it was like, this is the real thing, you know, kind of like the Bull Run fire, the Eagle Creek fire. But so that's kind of how it works. We get activated. We don't have to watch it all day long, which is really nice. We turn it off in the winter because of all the fires that ever be burning. We don't want to be pinged all the time, but it still is all working year round. But we just turned them on, and of course, we're getting activations all over the place. I have access to 12 cameras, and they go from Warm Spring Reservation all the way to here. And then there's about another 6 or 7 in this area that I don't monitor too much. The good thing about here is you have a lot of people and they visually see things, where we have a lot of rural area where there's nobody to witness it. You know, you can get a lightning strike, they'll sit there and smolder for a day or two. Well, this will pick it up. So it's pretty impressive. Yeah.
What's really, really impressive is Phil's talking about. I was responding to this call.
Yeah.
And Phil is on the phone with me. This was not in Clackamas Fire's district. It was in Estacada Fire's district, but a baseball throw away from Clackamas Fire. Mm-hmm. So as I'm driving and responding to this, Phil sends me the video of it. And as the first responders are there, they can see the fire, but they can't see the totality of the fire. Yeah. And so me coming in, seeing this and having the video. So when I arrived, I face-to-face with the chief at Estacada, and I said, this is what we have. Yeah. And that helped to be able to get my command staff, which had our internal incident management team, to be able to trigger the multiple task forces that we sent to the fire to mitigate the incident. And without that camera and without that early activation, it could have been a different outcome because time really matters. And this put that time pendulum back in our favor.
Yeah.
But it was all because he had access and he said, sent me the video and said, this is what you're working with.
I threw one of our house fires in. It's just not for wildland. I mean, it picks up any calm or heat signature. And so the next page I had one of our, it was a bystander driving by and didn't know the address. And it locked on 2 cameras and I went right to the thing and blew it up and it tells you exactly which address it is. So again, it works for all kinds of, we actually had a tornado touchdown. It's been a couple of years ago in the Cherryville area. And I actually went back and you could witness the whole thing and it dropped down. So, I mean, there's a lot of things you can go back and look at as well. And then kind of the last one in 2023, we had the 224 fire out of Estacada as well. There's a common thing here. But what was impressive about this one is I actually had the mayor call me because they were going to evacuate the city. But by us watching it, we could see which way, again, the fire was getting blown from and it was going to the east. And there was, we didn't have to evacuate, which we probably would have. And that causes a huge deal when you don't have to, if you need to, you need to. But and on this too, they actually have a Zoom capability. I do not have access to it. I might later, but it's pretty critical with the privacy acts and stuff. They digitize out areas of houses and stuff. So the privacy act, but they can actually zoom in 30 times. So on this fire from Sandy, I was on the Linhart Butte Tower, which is east of Sandy, and we were watching all the planes come in and drop all their water. And just like we were standing there before them. So again, as a commander, it gives you such a grandstand, look to keep an eye on to make decisions on fire. So that was another one that is pretty impressive. It was just, it could be just, but between the 2014 and 2020 fires that we burnt just under 200,000 acres in this area. And between 22 and 23 and having these quick responses, we burnt 2,150 acres. It could be some coincidence, but we're getting they have not let me down once. It's pinged on every fire that we've had. So pretty impressive. But if you have any questions, again, I got to thank PGE. Again, they pay for this and they, as a partnership, they want us to be able to have those capabilities so we can have those to be able to use it. They have their own reasons as well for the wires down and stuff, but it's been great. And like I said, I've been using it since 22, so a couple of years, and it has not let me down yet. It's been a pretty awesome tool. So another just tool in the toolbox, but it's yeah. So I know you have any questions, but just wanted to run it by you. And but for the rural areas, and the Eagle Creek fire that was in the Bull Run that everybody knew about, that actually captured. When we went back, it captured the strike. And it actually drove the people, the firefighters right to it. The chief at Corbett actually has access as well. He met our guys up there from Clackamas and they drove right to the fire because as Chief Brown said, when you're in those canopies, you can't see anything. You can have a roaring fire and those canopies are so thick in the woods that you don't know where to go. And there's miles and miles up there and they drove right to it. So again, quick access. One other thing we've done, even on off season, we had a high wind event day. And again, like we all do, we have people burning that shouldn't be burning. And we had 3 people burning. And I was able to, I can go in there myself and hit the button to find the fires by different towers. And again, gives us a lat and launch. And I could drive my division chief right to him and say, hey, you got to put the fire out. But we would have been hunting for a long time. And then resource management, there's times that we've either recalled units or added units to the fire just by looking at this. When you have a column, you're going, it's the real thing, So anyway, I don't know if you have any questions, but that's all I really had. Cool technology.
It's great. I saw some of these cameras on display at the PGE, their big management headquarters out west of here. And I didn't know that you all networked on that. So the same system. So that's great. And then the triangulation to be able to pinpoint locations. That's just an amazing piece of information to have. Anybody out in a rural area can say, I see smoke, that's sort of to the east of me, I think, because that's about when you're out there, you don't know what's north from south or
right.
But to be able to pinpoint it so well and get there so immediately, I hope that those that trend and the numbers will continue because it's an amazing thing, an amazing result of that technology. Are there other questions or comments from counselors? Counselor Cook?
Yeah, just out of curiosity. So, do you see a lot of false alarms as a result of this technology?
I have not seen any faults of what we've gotten on. Everyone I've been pinged on, there's been smoke. I mean, a column of smoke.
That's wild.
I mean, it could be somebody just in a huge, land burn, but it's not, it's reading the right thing. Yeah.
All right.
have a question.
Counselor Roberts, go ahead.
I'm just curious, how many other fire departments have access to this sorts of technology? You said PG is paying for
Yeah,
it, but
I think they have about 65 licenses they basically gave out for free. And so I know Clackamas is set up pretty well. A lot of PGE, of course, they pay for it. They probably have alarm. The Forest Service, ODF, the US Forest Service has had access to it. All the command rigs do. Now the chiefs have it as well. Yeah, like Chief Brown said, the nice thing is I could be watching it and I can send it to anybody and they can see the same thing I am.
Yeah.
So that's a nice thing. So
So now, right, when the technology first came, there's very, very limited.
Yeah,
sure.
Now that it's there and you have other companies as well, like the Watch Duty app, that's what I use to see fires across the state.
Mhm.
They have cameras now too. So really, it's gone from the fire departments being the only ones to see, now public can actually see.
Mhm.
as
Wow.
well. So an actual number, I would have to say is pretty widespread throughout the state at this point.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'd love to be in there at the opening. That was grand. So thank you for having me.
Thanks. Appreciate you. And can I just have one thing?
Sure,
Like, we're taking
sure.
up a lot of our time. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to your city staff. Okay. The 4th of July barbecue is always a hit. It's always amazing to see the community come out. And it's one of the highlights of my year, especially to be side by side with Chief Schmerber, flipping hot dogs. It's so much fun. But what it reflects to me is how awesome your city staff is under the lead of City Administrator Betts. She is mic drop. She's phenomenal. So, but yeah, I just wanted to say that and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, James.
thank you.
And I refer you all to the chief's report in section 7 of our agenda. There's more details on this past month. So thank you very much. Item 8, Gladstone City event announcements. Tammy, do we have anyone requesting to speak?
We have one, Robert Everett.
Dr. Bob, come forward, please. You can hit the button there.
After a full day of work, I melted in here. So anyway, that was very interesting about the AI. That's for sure. Good evening, everyone. Hopefully we do get a cooler day tomorrow. Sounds like we will. And I'm here on my monthly sojourn to sort of give an update on things. This Friday, movie in the park. Also, the community center is going to be providing some entertainment. I believe that starts around 6 o'clock. We're going to be there. We, being the Rotary, are going to be there cooking hamburgers, hot dogs, providing beverages. And so come on down early. I have to admit, I don't know who's playing. So, but it should be a lot of fun. And then we're going to roll right into, they last till about 8:30, I believe it's 8 o'clock. I don't know. Anyway,
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. And then we're going to roll into the movie. We're hoping around 9. Last month, it seemed like 9 was pretty good. And it's going to be, boy, I always forget when I get up here, I just get,
Indiana Jones.
thank you. Yeah. I hear a voice. Indiana Jones. And it turned out great last month. And so we anticipate that it'll be a lot of fun, and the weather's going to be nicer. So hopefully we have more people. Also, of course, August 2nd and 3rd will be the festival. So hopefully we'll see all of you out there. Bryce knows most of the entertainment, but it's also in the newsletter. And we're hoping for a good turnout as usual. And we're also hoping for some pleasant days, not 100 degrees, but hopefully in the 80s. And we're going to have the bouncy houses, entertainment, the standard bill of fare, so to speak, but we do have a couple different sort of food carts. So food options. So hopefully you come on out and take a look on those days. And if there are any questions, I'm here for that.
I have a
So,
question.
sure.
How's your volunteer availability looking?
It's a little better, but Bryce is worried. Any Rotarian out there? He's also worried about our Rotary volunteer, but we'll kick everybody into shape. But also, we have been in touch with the Scouts, which I don't know if you know, but we are their sponsor organization. And one of the things we asked was that they would help us out. And it looks like they're going to be really pushing to get some adults to help out at the bouncy houses, things like that. So hopefully that will pick up and we'll fill in. I don't know. Things always seem to work out. I don't know. We get worried about vendors and all of a sudden I get 4 or 5 new vendors and things like that. So I don't know. It just does. Doing this for the last 11 years, 12 years, it's 13. It seems to work one way or another. Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right. We're not having a dunk tank this year, so you're safe from that. But that thing never really worked and was dangerous. But we are having we are having a bucket dump, I guess, where if you sit there and you hit the ball, the bucket of water will dump on you. So we're looking for volunteers for that, and I know I'm going to see every one of you up there. So no doubt. All righty. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Dr.
Okay.
Everett.
Yeah. Bye.
All right, we move to our regular agenda. We have 5 items tonight. Resolution 1237, adopting a revised master fee schedule and repealing the previous fee schedule. Number 10, an intergovernmental agreement, IGA with Clackamas County related to the Gladstone Fire Station project in conjunction with the new Gladstone Library. Number 11, ordinance 1531, an ordinance to make housekeeping amendments to the Gladstone Municipal Code by amending chapter 8.12 noise control and repealing chapter 9.10 prohibition on marijuana facilities. Resolution 1238 is the next item. A resolution to approve the City of Gladstone representation in the updates to the Clackamas County Multi-Jurisdictional Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan, Addendum 2024. And finally, we'll be reviewing some recommendations from C4, the Clackamas County Coordinating Committee Values and Outcomes regarding transportation. So we begin with item 9, resolution about our fee schedule. Staff, will you present for us, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, City Council. As you recall, we come to you twice a year to update our master fee schedule. The master fee schedule allows us to charge for certain services to residents in the city of Gladstone. Typically, that comes to you at your July meeting, which is tonight, and then we bring it back to you in December. So tonight, what you will be considering is what we call pass-through charges from North Clackamas County Water Commission, also Oak Lodge Water Services, and Water Environmental Services. We also have some system development charge increases that we will ask you to consider. And I'm going to have our finance consultant, Kathy Brucker, walk you through the first part of these pass-through charges.
Thank you very much, and good evening, Council. The first part of our increases that are laid out here are regarding our water rates, and we were advised by North Clackamas County Water Commission that the wholesale water rates, the pass-through amount for this year will increase by 3.4% or 3 cents. And that will go from 0.207 to 0.8550 per 100 cubic feet of water, which equates to 748 gallons. For the sewer side, We will have Oak Lodge Water Services increases of 12.3%. And again, due to the capital cost adjustments that they're experiencing. And those increases will be $8.91, and it will go from 72.38 to 81.29 per EDU. And then with West Water Environmental Services, those will increase by 5%, and those will go from $29.30 to $30.75, or an increase of $1.45 per month. And then finally, the city has updated our low-income levels applicable as of July 1, 2024. And these, as previous years have been, are based on the Housing and Urban Development income limits revised annually for the Portland, Vancouver, and Hillsborough area. The Exhibit B of the information details the information on that program. And with that, and if you have any questions for me, otherwise I will turn it over to our Public Works Director for discussion on the SDCs.
All right. Are there any questions regarding the utility rate increases?
I have one minor question. On page 9-13, line 271. Water rates for properties outside the city limits, which is an increase of 33% for City of Gladstone rates. It's highlighted yellow, but it wasn't clear to me whether that was a change or not. Is that a new change or is that standard?
That, no, it's not a new change. That is actually dealing with the, basically whatever rates we are utilizing for city rates are increased at a standard of 33%.
Okay.
Pardon me.
No, that makes sense. I just didn't, the way it was presented, I just wanted clarification.
Sorry. Thank you.
It probably should not have been highlighted. How's that? Okay.
All right. Any other questions? And we'll deal with this all at once. So we'll move on to the section about system development charges if there are no additional questions or clarification regarding the water rate fees. Okay. So the next phase.
The city includes system development charges to the master fee schedule to make the changes more transparent. The charges are increased annually based on the ENRCCI, which is Engineering News Record Construction Index cost for Seattle per our SDC methodology reports, and ORS 223.304. This year's increase is 3%. Last year, if you remember, we had an increase of 4%, which was significantly less than what the ENRCCI was. Last year, that was at 12%, but we only raised that 4%. And we did that because that's what other agencies around us were doing. This year, it came down significantly, as you can tell, and it's only at 3%, and that's what others around us are also doing.
We were very surprised it went from 12% last year to 3% this year.
All right. Any questions about that? So staff has prepared a resolution that incorporates all these changes. Is there any further discussion, or would someone like to make a motion to adopt this resolution?
I would move to approve resolution number 1237, a resolution repealing the master fee schedule adopted under resolution number 1231 and adopting a new master fee schedule.
Second.
All right. It was moved by Councillor Roberts and seconded by Councillor Cook. Any further discussion? All right, Tammy, call the roll, please.
Councillor Roberts,
Yes.
Councillor Cook,
Yes.
Councillor Blau,
Yes.
Councillor Alexander,
Yes.
Councillor Huckabee,
Yes.
Councillor Garlington,
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes, the resolution is approved. The next item on our agenda, it regards an intergovernmental agreement between Clackamas County and the City of Gladstone related to the fire station project. Staff, will you present, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Many of you recall the old City Hall and how closely it was connected to the current Gladstone Fire Station. In fact, during demolition, we were all a little concerned that that building might be affected when they took down the City Hall, but they did a fantastic job. As we finished constructing the new library, we need to make a new roof hatch for the Gladstone Fire Department. And we also need to now paint that new exterior wall there. Clackamas County is proposing to take the lead on all of the work. However, it will likely be done after the new library opens. And so they propose that we enter into an agreement. This has been reviewed and edited by City Attorney Jacobs. And we're anticipating the cost not to exceed $20,000, but they understand if it does exceed that, that they will cover the costs. They've also included a construction drawing in the packet. Public Works Director Canna Paroli and also Clackamas Fire have approved the scope of work. So we're asking the City Council to approve the intergovernmental agreement so that we can have Clackamas County move forward with these projects.
And just to clarify, it's the county that's paying for this.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Any questions regarding the this IGA?
I have one.
Councilor Darlington.
So the county is paying the $20,000, and if it exceeds that, they're still going to cover whatever it is.
Correct. And they're also hiring the contractor, so there will be no pass-throughs to the city for us to have to manage this project.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement between Clackamas County and the city of Gladstone related to the fire station project.
I'll second.
Councilor Alexander moved. Councilor Huckabee seconded the motion to approve the IGA. Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Cook,
Yes.
Counselor Roberts,
Yes.
Counselor Garlington,
Yes.
Counselor Huckabee,
Yes.
Counselor Alexander,
Yes.
Counselor Blau,
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes, the IGA is approved. We move to item 11, which is an ordinance to clean up some of our municipal code sections. And we'll have staff and our city attorney present this for us.
Thank you, Mayor. As you've seen in the staff report, periodically, there are what we call housekeeping amendments to the Gladstone Municipal Code. Some of them go back quite a bit. And in this one, you'll notice 2015, 2016. So I'm going to have our city attorney give you a brief overview of the amendments that we're asking you to approve in the ordinance tonight.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Chad Jacobs from the City Attorney's Office. So as outlined in the staff report, this housekeeping ordinance basically cleans up two different provisions of the municipal code. The first one relates to the city's noise ordinance. As you may recall, a couple of years ago, at the urging of the police department, we brought to you some amendments to the noise ordinance to modernize it and clean it up. At that point in time, we inadvertently deleted some language that provided some noise controls for powered motor vehicles. At this point in time, we're just reinserting that language that was inadvertently deleted at that point in time. It's basically the exact same language that pre-existed in the code, so no real substantive change. It's just an error that we made, a drafting error that we made back in 2021 that we're now bringing back to you to fix. The second amendment is basically an amendment related to medical marijuana facilities. As you all may or may not know, when recreational marijuana. As you all may recall, when recreational marijuana was approved, the city had the option to enact an ordinance prohibiting recreational marijuana facilities within the jurisdiction of Gladstone, but that had to be approved by the voters. So the first step in that process was to actually enact an ordinance and then refer that ordinance to the voters for approval. So the council did that. They enacted the ordinance. It got codified on the books. We sent it to the voters for approval and they said no. They disagreed with the council and then rejected that. So the ordinance remained on the books and we just never went back and took it off the books after the voters said no. So this second part of the ordinance basically just cleans that up. And consistent with what the voters did back in 2016, we're removing that language, which they rejected, which we, never did in between 2016 and now. So those are the two amendments. Again, neither of them have any real substantive impact on the way the laws work in Gladstone. There, as City Administrator Betts described them as housekeeping amendments for your review. With that, I'll answer any questions. And if you don't have any questions, we would just urge you to enact the ordinance as drafted.
Councillor Cook.
Sorry, I feel like I'm just the sticky wheel or something today. So I guess just clarification. So the language that's being reinserted around model vehicles, I think I'm missing part of the clause. So the new subsection would add operating or permitting the operation of powered motor vehicles, except gliders, aircraft, and ground vehicles in an area not designated by the city administrator. But it doesn't say like, is it prohibiting that usage in an area that's not specifically designated by the city administrator or city council?
Yeah, it is. And I was just trying to pull up the municipal code, and for some reason I'm getting an error message. So just give me one quick second. But basically what the draft ordinance does is just adding a new subsection to the overall section of the code. And it's the rest of the provision of that code that has the prohibition.
Okay.
And that is if you look in the ordinance, that is in section 8.12.025 of the code. And so all we're doing here is adding a new subsection 2I, which has this prohibition language.
Got it.
I can find the municipal code and
Or
get that up for you.
Of course. And even if you could just, summarize, is it outright prohibiting model vehicles in areas that are not designated for use? Or is it dependent on a noise violation?
No, it is an outright prohibition, except in those areas where they are otherwise permitted.
Okay. And then
so I was just going to read you the language real quick. So subsection 2 begins with, except as provided in section 8.12035 of the code, which allows permits for certain activities, the following acts are a violation of the noise ordinance. And so what we're adding is this language about model code or model vehicle usage, which would be a violation of the ordinance unless it's done in an area designated by the city as a permitted use.
Okay, great. And then we've had separate discussions around the use of model vehicles at Meldrum Bar Park. Administrator Betts, is Meldrum Bar Park an acceptable area that's been designated by the administrator or city council for model vehicle use?
There should be no motorized vehicles used at the RC park.
Got it. Okay. So it has been, got it. I'm seeing the full picture now. Thank you.
Is that motorized electric or just anything?
Gas.
Gas.
Yes. And I think just to speak in general terms, it's always been the intent to only have electric vehicles at the RC park. Park rules were amended several years ago and that language was removed. We discovered that and now we're adding it back in so that there are no gas powered. We haven't had an issue with them out there, but we want to make sure that we are able to enforce that if it does become an issue.
Thank you for that clarification. Yeah, I was just reading these over today and there was a list of things and it was something that had been crossed out, but probably shouldn't have been crossed out or should have been moved to the new section 3 years ago when that was done. It was
in November 2021.
Yes.
An ordinance was approved. It removed the language inadvertently. So
Okay.
now we're adding it back in
Very
to
good.
be clear.
All right. Thank you for that clarification, for the real world example of where that would be, where that would apply, and for the clarification that it's basically gas powered model vehicles that we're banning, and the electric ones are okay in the areas where we've designated.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Yes. Shouldn't we just say gas powered on here?
Nuclear is also banned.
Would you say nuclear?
I think it does. I think it just does it in a roundabout way where it's saying, except as, I see, except as provided, the following acts are a violation of the noise ordinance, operating or permitting the operation of powered nautical vehicles, except gliders, aircraft, or ground vehicles propelled by electric. So the only powered
I retract.
vehicles. Yeah, we're on the same page.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
I would motion that the council approve ordinance 1531, an ordinance amending GMC Code Chapter 8.12 Noise Control and repeal Gladstone GMC Chapter 9.10 Prohibition on Marijuana Facilities.
Is there a second? All right, it's been moved by Counselor Roberts, seconded by Counselor Garlington. Any further discussion? Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Blau,
Yes.
Counselor Cook,
Yes.
Counselor Roberts,
Yes.
Counselor Garlington,
Yes.
Counselor Huckabee,
Yes.
Counselor Alexander,
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes, the ordinance is approved unanimously. That means it is adopted tonight. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. We'll move on to item 12. We have members of our Public Works staff here to guide us through a report on Resolution 1238, adopting the City of Gladstone representation in the updates to the Clackamas County Multi-Jurisdictional Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan Addendum 2024. Staff.
Thank you, Mayor. We do have a special guest tonight making his city council debut to present this to you, and that's our utility manager, Justin Poyser. He took the lead on this project, and we've been working on it for approximately a year. In the staff report, you will say that I was also involved. So was our public works director, our police chief, our city recorder, and executive assistant. So a lot of internal work has been done on this. I'm going to have Justin give you an overview of the staff report.
Thank you, Jackie. Good evening, Mayor, City Council. So the agenda item is to approve Resolution 1238, adopting the City of Gladstone representation in the updates to the Clackamas County Multi-Jurisdictional Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan Addendum 2024. A Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan, NHMP, provides communities with a set of goals, action items, and resources designed to reduce risk from future natural disasters. Gladstone first developed an addendum to the county plan in 2003. The most recent update to the Gladstone addendum to the county plan was approved by FEMA on April 12th, 2019. Efforts began for another update in 2023. The National Hazard Mitigation Plan of Clackamas County, the Gladstone addendum, are the result of a collaborative effort between citizens, public agencies, nonprofit organizations, the private sector, and regional organizations. The Gladstone Hazard Mitigation Advisory Committee, who Jackie just mentioned, guided the process of developing the NHMP addendum. Ultimately, edits were made to the current advisory committee, capital projects, capital resources, mitigation successes, action items number 6, 7, 12 through 16, 19, vulnerability assessment, table GA5, rapid visual survey scores, and table GA7, action item status. The FEMA Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000 and the FEMA regulations contained in 44 CFR 201 require that jurisdictions maintain an approved NHMP in order to receive FEMA hazard mitigation assistance funds for mitigation projects. Local and federal approval of this NHMP ensures that the city will, 1, remain eligible for pre- and post-disaster mitigation project grants, and 2, promote local mechanisms to accomplish risk reduction strategies. The proposal is to adopt the 2024 City of Gladstone Addendum to the Clackamas County Multi-Jurisdictional Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan. The options are: 1, the City Council could choose not to adopt the 2024 Gladstone Addendum and not, 1, remain eligible for pre- and post-disaster mitigation project grants, and 2, not promote local mechanisms to accomplish risk reduction strategies. Option number 2, the City Council could choose to adopt the 2024 addendum and 1, remain eligible for pre- and post-disaster mitigation project grants, and 2, promote local mechanisms to accomplish risk reduction strategies. Cost impact, the total cost impact for the city is not known. The city will pursue fiscally approved projects that are addressing or will address the new NHMP actions added to the 2024 addendum, where potential funding sources have been identified. Example funding sources may include FEMA Hazard Mitigation Assistance, American Rescue Plan Act, or local funding sources such as capital improvement or general funds. The recommended staff action is to approve Resolution 1238, adopting the City of Gladstone representation in the updates to the Clackamas County Multi-Jurisdictional Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan Addendum 2024.
All right, Justin, thank you very much for that. I think the action we need to take is one of those ones that Councilor Alexander sometimes classifies as a no-brainer. We either make ourselves ineligible for some money or keep our eligibility. But this is a really good opportunity for us to hear about this and, to do an update from what we had 5 years ago. The information in this report is extremely valuable and interesting. It tells us things about earthquake faults and flood hazards and things that, we might not have known otherwise. It puts it out there. It's a public document. Citizens can see it and review it. It talks about, extreme heat events, like a period of 4 or 5 days when the temperatures, in the 90s or the hundreds. And, how often does that happen? But in fact, I wanted to ask you about that, Justin, because I know part of the work you do, part of the technical advisory work that you do with Wes and other has to do with our response to these kinds of events. And I was thinking, if it's a fire situation or a high heat situation, sometimes worried the electricity might go out. That's PGE's problem or other utilities. But locally, we have a water system, and this is the time of year when people use a lot more water than usual. Can you tell us a little bit about what do we have in place to make sure that that water tank doesn't empty itself, that the water is still in good, safe, healthy condition for us? Could you clue us in a little bit on what's going on this time of year around those issues?
Absolutely. Good questions. So for water quantity, the system has displayed no limitations due to high demand events historically and is experiencing no issues with this current event. The Kirkwood pump station has been boosted from 1 pump to 2 pumps running at once in order to accommodate the high demand season. The Webster pump station has historically met high demand events with a normally operated single pump. There also is a backup pump that will automatically kick on if pump number 1 is unable to keep up. The city reservoirs and pump stations are monitored on call 24/7. Public Works crews check reservoir and pump station conditions on site daily and multiple times during these types of high demand situations. So as far as backup power, the city does not currently have a backup generator, but we are in good shape. We maintain IGAs with Oak Lodge, who provides multiple interties throughout the Gladstone system that will automatically open up and kick on if there is any sort of drop in pressure. These interties have proved very reliable through the years, so we're in good shape there.
All right, that's very helpful information, very reassuring to the public during since we're in the midst of one of those events. And it's good to know that we're developing a good plan in cooperation with the rest of the county on dealing with these unforeseen things that we hope will never happen, but occasionally do. All right. Are there questions or comments from counselors? Counselor Garlington.
I just had one question for you. I was really surprised to read that we were moderate in fire. I felt like, I thought, well, the first thing I thought is, well, how could we be moderate? We're with Clackamas Fire now. So, and then I read that, we do have some areas, but what keeps us at moderate as opposed to low, considering how dense we are in housing rather than open green spaces? I'm on page 1245.
Yeah.
I guess what would keep an area in that low that we're not part of that party?
Yeah.
I believe a lot of that data came from the county.
Okay.
Is where all the maps and everything that are in this plan, those were generated from past plans. And the county, pretty much sets the parameters as to where we are. I don't know that having Clack Fire in here versus Gladstone Fire would change that all that much.
Okay. I was just surprised. I mean, it did say in here that most of the city has a low wildfire burn probability, but I was surprised to see that. I would have thought that we'd have been that little city with low, and we were all kinds of good. So I guess we can all have problems. So
The other thing that I wanted to add under cost impact, I know it does list that we potentially could use American Rescue Plan Act or local funding sources. I want to remind everyone, we already have used ARPA funds for our infrastructure the work that we're doing now. So we're not saying that we're going to allocate any of the remaining ARPA funds, but we allocated over 1.2 million towards the I&I work that we're doing. So that is why that is listed here under cost impact.
Thank you. That's helpful to know. One of those things that we always remind ourselves here is that the important link between the Public Works Department and our fire department. The fire department is there to help rescue workers who get injured on the job. The public works workers are there to make sure that there is water in those pipes that the fire department depends on. So there's this wonderful interdependence between these two important agencies, and we see it in how we invest our resources. Councillor Alexander.
I was just gonna say, you couldn't have said it better. Grants and risk reduction strategies, no brainer. That's what I wrote on number 12. So I'll make a motion if you'd like that we approve resolution 1238 adopting the city of Gladstone's representation and the updates to the Clackamas multi-jurisdictional natural hazard mitigation plan addendum 2024.
I'll second that.
All right, Councillor Alexander moved, Councillor Blaug seconded the motion. Any further discussion from the council? Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Alexander.
Yes.
Counselor Huckabee.
Yes.
Counselor Garlington.
Yes.
Counselor Roberts.
Yes.
Counselor Cook.
Yes.
Counselor Blaug.
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes, the resolution number 1238 is adopted. The last item on our regular agenda is Clackamas County Coordinating Committee Values and Outcomes. Administrator Betts, are you
Do you
gonna?
want to do this one?
I'll just say a little bit about it. It's there in the staff report, but we have our annual retreat for the Clackamas County Coordinating Committee, which includes primarily mayors most of the time, but for the retreat, we have other city officials, city administrators, some other staff members and counselors. We talk about major issues that impact all of our cities in our county. Thank you, folks, for coming tonight. And the main focus was on transportation, following up on last year's pause on tolling and then the decision for the the legislature to make some recommendations regarding financing of transportation needs in the state. The county wanted to make sure that its elected officials brainstorm their thoughts and ideas and goals. And it was a long process facilitated by some very talented people from county staff to kind of get us all on the same page. But we prepared a one-page summary that sort of summarizes the values that we have regarding our recommendations to state legislators about what they do in preparing a transportation package for the next legislative year. So you've had a chance to review it. It's been in your packet. Are there any questions or comments about this? And would you be willing to, the idea is that we want to be able to put our city logo on this as one of the cities in Clackamas County who supports this value system in regards to transportation.
And one item that I wanted to draw your attention to is the second bullet point where it says protect and retain the 50-30-20 revenue formula from the state highway fund. Why that's important is because the state gets 50% for streets, the counties get 30%, and currently cities get 20%. That is how we are paving our roads and fixing our streets. There was a discussion at one point with the state maybe revisiting that, which means that we could lose our revenue there. But across the board, all the cities at the retreat agreed that we need to protect and retain that. So that was a very important bullet for all the cities.
All right, Councilor Garlington.
Well, I was just hoping you could enlighten me because I was looking at the very last item and I'm not sure why it caught my eye other than to improve the operations of regional freight routes and arterials. And I thought, well, we have a lot of train tracks that kind of run, close to Gladstone, obviously down the 82nd Drive. And then I got to thinking about so many of the cities are, not so many of the cities. There are places in Oregon and outlying areas that they don't want some of that, what they're carrying, the cargoes and things like that. What I guess I'm just trying to understand where all that, where this decision came from and what does your group consider improvements as other areas are concerned?
Well, when you saw regional freight routes, your mind went to rail.
Yes.
But this does include freight that is carried by trucks on the highways, and they are a big voice in wanting to reduce any congestion and make sure that things can be delivered on time, whether it's by truck or by train or by boat, by whatever means. So first of all, it's a little broader than what you had.
Okay.
And I think improve the operations means improve all aspects of it, not just the speed and efficiency, but also the safety. And so communities in the gorge and other areas where there's been concern about toxic and unhealthy products being transported, I think we want to ensure a system that is safe and efficient. And so that element is certainly not left out of this. But I'm glad you bring it up because we sometimes think of transportation. We are a very auto-dependent country and city and state, and we think of it primarily about cars, but it is about a lot more than that. And the more options we have for various forms of transportation that are important to our whole economic system, the better off we'll be. So, but thank you for drawing that. Okay.
I am completely in support of everything that I read here. So thank you for that.
All right. Well, Councilor Garland is tipping her hand on the vote on this. Do we have other comments, questions? Would someone like to make a motion? Let me see if we do have a recommended staff action here on page 13-1.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the Clackamas County Coordinating Committee Values and Outcomes document ahead of the 2025 State Legislative Transportation Package.
I'll second.
All right. It's been moved by Councilor Garlington, seconded by Councilor Cook and Councilor Alexander. And the reason they want this now is they want to be able to get it out before the legislators begin their process. They have some kind of pre-session meetings early on in the system. And they gave us time, though, following the retreat, to make sure that every city had a meeting and electeds could weigh in on it. So I'm glad we have this opportunity tonight. All
Well,
right.
I'd like to thank you for going, both of you. I'm making sure that Gladstone has a voice in this. It's important. And of course, I listen to the meetings, so I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate your additions to everything that you say on behalf of our city.
Thank you. Well, it's good to, to kind of be on the same page about these issues and to be able to go and represent. And we are a city which potentially could be much less automobile dependent than we are, and which is why we're doing some of the other things we're doing locally. But we have to think regionally about these things too. And that's why we get together, and it's a fun process. It really is. The staff lead us through some very good values exercises that helped us to focus. Okay, Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Garlington.
Yes.
Counselor Roberts.
Yes.
Counselor Cook.
Yes.
Counselor Blaug.
Yes.
Counselor Alexander.
Yes.
Counselor Huckabee.
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes, the motion is approved unanimously. All right, we at that point of the meeting where we have, is there any business carried forward?
I have nothing. Thank you.
Okay, did anyone request to speak for business from the audience?
We have one, and that is John Kilstrom.
John, come forward, please.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. As duly elected representatives of the residents of Gladstone, and with the proposed electric increase, does the council, the city, have any recourse in filing any opposition to such increase? Because it's going to, they're talking another 8% on top of the 18% they just gave us. And if you look at PGE rates, they're twice what Vancouver's got. So that's my question. Does the city have any opportunity to challenge these rates with other cities?
Well, typically we don't answer questions during public comment, but they can direct that to me and then I can get back to you, John.
And I was just about to do that.
All right.
If you could, you want to get back to John another time? Do you have a quick answer tonight, or?
I'm going to ask Chad to weigh in this as well. I mean, we could certainly submit a letter saying we don't support that, but I don't think we have any weight in whether or not. I think it's the Utility Commission that ultimately will make that decision. But the point is well taken from John.
And a Utility Commission hearing would be an opportunity for members of the public or even elected officials to weigh in as well. Chad, would you have anything to add on that?
Now, as usual, your city administrator is right on point and correct.
Okay. All right. Well, it's good to know that, it continues to be a concern for cities. I will say, not in defense necessarily of the increase, but the report that we had from Clackamas Fire pointing out that system which detects fires near the wires that are out there in rural areas is part of, I think, what contributes to the higher cost of providing safe electrical over a large grid. And I know one of the real challenges is getting transmission lines to bring in other forms of electricity. And like all infrastructure, things cost money. So I wish we could keep all of our rates where they are now, but I know that it is a burden to many. And I appreciate your coming and sharing your concerns tonight.
Thank you. Just one comment in your change to electric vehicles. And basically it was around Meldrum Bar Park that usually there are planes flying around over there. Do you need to addendum that to say electric planes or non-gas powered planes flying around?
I think it's assumed that it's included. Are people flying gas powered airplanes? Because it mentions gliders, so it's not limited to just ground vehicles.
No, they have powered
airplanes, but and I'm not quite sure what all the power is.
Okay, well, now it's been, codified for us. So thank you very much. All right. Anyone else?
I
All right,
received
we
no
move
other
on to business from the council then. And I will start at Councilor Garlington's end of the dais and move across.
Well, thank you. I had a really exciting, busy month. Some things not as exciting, but I wanted to say thank you to Milwaukee for hosting us at the Clackamas County's dinner. We had a really good showing from Gladstone. It was really informative. I couldn't keep up with the count of housing they were building. It was a staggering number. Really impressive. What they did with their new city hall was really exciting. And again, I just thank them for hosting us. The Clackamas County Library Board met on June 20th. The board appointed 2 new seats, and once those appointees are approved by the Clackamas County Commissioners, then those names will be announced at that time. The board voted unanimously against cutting library hours. And I do mean unanimously. Our own Natalie is sitting here, and she was one of those absolutely not voices. One of the closures would be to completely close the library 1 day a week. The gentleman that came to present was very kind, very succinct, and answered every question that we had. But when he left, he basically gave us the feeling that they were going to go ahead with those closures or that reduction anyway. And I believe now I've seen it over the internet, and I'm thinking that that's going to happen. I would like to have our board, our council, back the not closing it. I think in looking, when I was looking at our packet at the meeting and before the meeting and thinking it through, I think that we should back the library board in not cutting the hours. There are ways to cut the hours back, but to completely close that library on Sunday, I don't agree with that at all. I just think that there are other reductions that they could look at and not do that. And I should have sent an email out beforehand, but there were some things that I wanted to make sure that we could say out loud from our meeting. I'm not sure how to move forward with that, but I would really like to see that happen as a unified group. I think it's important to the people in our city, and especially that we're going to have this beautiful new library and to have it closed 1 day a week. It just doesn't seem, I just think there's other ways for them to cut back the hours rather than to close an entire day. Okay, I'm done. I'm off that soapbox. The date for the library grand opening was announced by Mitzi Olson, and I will leave it to Administrator Betts's Friday newsletter to formally announce that and make sure that that date's actually going to happen. One of our own in Gladstone has passed away, Mr. Jim Miller, who was a resident of Gladstone for many, many years. Jim and his daughter, Allie, created and installed the glass and metal artwork at the Gladstone Nature Park up on the Butterfly Pollinator Hill. So it will be there forever. It reminds me of Jim every time I walk by it. And Jim was also a very long time member of the Lions Club. He believed that everyone should be able to see. Your glasses don't have to be perfect, but they do help you, is what he always told me. So my condolences to the Miller family. And again, Gladstone has really lost a champion in our area. On July 27th, we hosted another barbecue dinner at Tukwila. Our group has made so many contacts with the folks there, and it shows when we see residents in and around our community, and they stop to say hi now. So that was always my goal. I want people to feel like they are part of our community. Our dinner this month was, the food was provided by the Rotary. They provided the barbecue meats and the buns. The Tukwila staff provided the condiments, the people. The food bank provided the chips, and the FOGNAP members made strawberry shortcake with whipped cream for dessert. Thank you to Nancy Eichstead, Lisa Preble, Tammy Stemple, Raymond Rendelman, and Ryan, who has helped serve, and the rest of the Tukwila staff for making it another great event. July 5th, Mr. Kilstrom was there, and we went to Clackamas Town Center. Oregon was the second state in the stops of the National EMS Memorial Moving Honors. The helicopter landed in Happy Valley, which was Clackamas Town Center. It was in the parking lot. It was hot. And then joined by the national EMS vehicle that will be following that helicopter to 13 other states. But the helicopter lands in different cities within the state. So it landed like in 3 or 4 different cities in Oregon itself. So then along with Mayor Denise McGriff from Oregon City, Clackamas County Commissioner Ben West, former Gladstone Mayor Tammy Stemple, and Mr. Jay Jones from the North Clackamas Chamber of Commerce, we were invited to participate in reading the 36 names of the persons lost, along with their personal stories. It was a really touching event. Thank you to Mr. Mark Burnham, Director of the Government Relations Pacific and West Regions at Global Medical Response, also a resident of Gladstone. He also followed that helicopter on all of its stops in Oregon. And then again, Mr. Kilstrom, thank you so much for your volunteer work with Clackamas County Fire and for being there, because it was really nice to see another Gladstone face. I want to just remind people to check in on their neighbors, especially their elderly neighbors. They might be kind of warm in their house and might not mind coming over and having a cool beverage and just getting out of that hot space if they need to. So that's all. And thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Garland. Councilor Roberts.
Thank you. Let's bring up Mr. Kilstrom again. So I'm at the station opening for Clackamas Fire. That was a fantastic event. And like the chief said, first one to get a hot dog. My dad told me, you got to be first in line at the party, otherwise you last. So I got my hot dog first. I was happy. Outside of that, we talked about the North Clackamas County Water Commission earlier. There are talks of expansion in the next 10 years. The current facility down there at the moment has the capacity for 20 million gallons of water a day. There is expansion space within the membrane facility to move another 5 million gallons a day. So move it up to 25, but there's a lot of legalities that go into it with water rights, how much they can pull, conservation and all that. So it's going to be quite a lengthy process. We share our water distribution in Gladstone, Oak Lodge, and then Happy Valley, Damascus. And so with the rapid expansion that they see that we just don't really see in our cities, we will only be paying our respective portion of those upgrades. And so that's all very calculated. But the exciting part about that is they're not going to be asking for a lot of money to do it. It will be expensive and they will ask for some. But over all of the years, they've built up such a plant reserve there that there is already existing funding, and we've already contributed some of our buy-in to that. And so just continuing to talk about how well they're managed and how easy it is to be a partner for them. So that is all. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Councilor Cook.
I don't have much for tonight. I just want to say thank you to the Gladstone Community Center folks who are checking in on our homebound seniors this week during the hot weather and making sure everybody is staying safe. If anybody who's listening missed it during the discussion around our emergency management plan, that is juicy. Did anyone else spend like an hour and a half and wake up in a fugue state of like reading that? It's amazing that we see street by street the risk for all of these potential hazards, including fire, earthquake, flood. I know many of us, the Oregonian ran a story, 4 or 5 years ago about the big one that freaked everybody out and kind of motivated. I was operating a grocery store at the time and we had to buy pallets of water because everybody decided to get prepared at the same time, which was great. So I'm going to follow that example. I am now personally motivated to get more prepared for potential hazards. I think everybody should take a look at the information in the packet tonight. It's really fascinating. I'm going to be reaching out and becoming more familiar with GEMS and CERT, who support emergency readiness in our area. So yeah, just a reminder that the best thing to do for events like that is to be prepared. And Councillor Garlington, I'm share some of your concerns around the library hours. I think that my question that I would pose to Administrator Betts, probably not this exact moment, but a question that I have is, I'm sure when operations of the library moved from Gladstone to Clackamas County, I am certain that there was an agreement written down somewhere about what each party should do in the case of a disagreement around the way that things are operated. So I'm really curious to see what that looks like. And that's all I have.
All right, Councillor Blaug.
I don't have very much. I helped serve during the 4th of July barbecue, which was wonderful. I think we served about 500 dogs, and it was really great to see people. And it was my first look at the splash pad, which was amazing. So thank everybody for that.
Councillor Alexander.
Just two things. When it's this hot, people, I want you to pay attention and be concerned and care about your pets and not be walking around on the sidewalks. And I don't know why I saw this, but I went down through Meldon Bar and a guy poured a bottle of water on the slide and tried to put his kid down. His kid still got burnt when he got to the end. He jumped off. So the plastic play structures are not to be used in extreme heat. And that's the only thing I have. Your pets and your kids. Common sense.
Thank you. Councillor Huckabee.
I'll add to that real quick. Is there a way that the city could, block those for the people who don't have common sense as a safety risk for our young ones? You don't have to answer that. I'm just throwing it out there. Let's see.
I think your mic's off.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Leaders for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Council up at Clackamas County is now accepting applications for new members, and you can find their link on the county website. And I would highly encourage anybody who wants to join in on the efforts and meet some new wonderful people to go ahead and do that. And I have not yet, I don't think, been able to make an official. Juneteenth was amazing down at Max Patterson Park. We had so many community members come out and celebrate, and I'm very, very thankful for that. And also members of our surrounding communities. We had great music. We had a guest speaker, a few guest speakers, including Anessa Hartman. We had a magnificent food vendor, and I received text messages from people after they had left the event saying, that was the best burger I've ever had in my life. And one was also, those wings were amazing. So very, very good food vendor, entertainment. We braved the weather. It didn't matter. Nobody left because of the weather, which I thought was amazing and a big commitment from our community. So success for Gladstone's first ever Juneteenth celebration. That's all I have.
All right. I'll just report one thing, that C4 retreat where we talked a lot about transportation. We did also talk about housing because there were some taxes enacted a couple of years ago on high income residents to help provide cost funding for both the construction of homes and supportive housing services around the metro area. One of the things that we talked about at the retreat was how we felt about supporting a possible ballot amendment coming from Metro on extending the life of that supportive housing service tax and providing more flexibility to how those funds are used, whether they can be used in the actual construction or purchase of housing or just for the services surrounding it. And we just got a message today from Metro. They're considering that. They're looking at the possibility of a ballot measure in May of 2025, which is a little farther away than November would have been, which was what they talked about first. So we'll get more information on that, and again, continue to weigh in as partners. They did say that one of the things that we emphasized from the county was how important it was for those funds to be able to be used for city-led initiatives. That was a source of funding, you'll recall, for a 3-year extension on the life and full funding of our food pantry here in Gladstone, which is one of those things which helps prevent people from falling into homelessness because it helps them with an essential part of their living expenses. The message we're getting from Metro right now is they are supportive of cities being able to do projects like that and receive funding for like that again. And they'll want to get input from cities and other county level elected officials on where they go forward with this. So we'll keep you posted. Finally, I want to say thank you to all of you, citizens and elected officials alike who have represented us at so many of these events. I had some family issues that prevented me from participating as much as I'd like to in things recently, but I am grateful that we have so many of you that take the time and represent our city well in many aspects of the life of this community in this region. So I'm grateful to you all. I think that's all we have for tonight. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Huckabee,
Yes.
Counselor Alexander,
Yes.
Counselor Blau,
Yes.
Counselor Cook,
Yes.
Counselor Roberts,
Yes.
Counselor Garlington,
Yes.
Mayor Milch.
Yes, the meeting is adjourned at 7:55 PM.